Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, four nerds by nerds, hang out with a couple of nerdettes tonight. We're gonna play some 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons. I know we took last week off, but we are back. We have returned, and we were down a player right now, but that's okay. We're gonna push on and play anyway. You guys were actually just getting ready to follow the young neophyte scholar Vance into a forbidden part of the library, or at least stashed away part of the library, in search of some lost lore. So I used to like a quick recap up until this point. Uh, you guys have been hanging out, trying to build bathhouses, fighting crime lords and drug
Fighting an
dealers,
evil baby.
fighting evil babies. And currently the quest that the ladies are on is to undo what the hags did to them, get back their memories, and they were able to gain a little bit of more information, a little bit more insight into the hags and some of their past. So they decided to go to Carshapathan, the Elven Kingdom, in order to find out even more information. I believe you guys were going on the premise, the better informed you would be, the better armed you would be. And Deneen has been kind of geeking out and nerding out about elves.
Real elves.
Even though she is an elf, she hasn't interacted with many elves. And you guys have taken in the sights of Carshapathan. You've done some shopping, checked out, basically an elven spa, a nature spa. And then you were led to the Golden Feather Academy. That is where you guys are currently at. And basically, Agnetha is like, "Oh, you guys are going to go look at books, right?" And she decided to go find a tavern. And against the judgment, you guys have let her do it on her own.
Foolish.
So,
Oh.
Does that sound about right to you, ladies?
Yep, this is going to be fun.
Excellent.
So, with that, the young elf Vance claims he's seen 90 winters or so far. And he's very excited to meet you ladies because you guys have talked to him and filled his head about all kinds of exciting adventures, even if you were trying to kind of dissuade him. But he seems really excited about that prospect. And actually, he's one of the few people that have been kind of treated you with respect of the high elven heritage.
Yeah, Deneen has been fangirling, but I think she's starting to pick up on that little bit of a race divide there.
Yeah, well, but the wood elves have been very kind to you guys and very amiable thus far. So you definitely have picked out that there's two different casts of elves here, and the hierarchy is starting to sort itself out. Yeah. So with that, he leads you to he actually leads you to what looks like is heading towards like a basement, and down a winding staircase. There are some ever-burning torches set in the wall, so there is illumination, and they kind of light up as you guys approach them.
So that's cool.
See, Kenna, everything about elves is magical.
Yep, everything.
Absolutely.
So after you guys walk for what seems like forever, you finally come to a landing, and it's a very broad, we'd say hallway, but it almost feels more like a tunnel. But again, the stonework and is all carved. It looks immaculate. It looks beautiful. Even though it looks like you get the impression that no one goes down there, still everything is clean. There's no cobwebs. There's no dust. He leads you past several small doors before you guys find yourself before a double set of bronze doors.
Ooh.
Is
there anything carved into them?
Yes, they're ornately carved, and on one side is a rearing Pegasus, and the other is a rearing unicorn. And
is he going to get mad if I take rubbings of those?
You could ask him or try and do it.
Nah, not worth it.
Which is not worth it, to ask him or just do it?
Just doing it, definitely not worth it. I might ask on the way out.
So he begins fishing through his robe for and looking through pockets, and he pulls out a large key ring that's loaded with keys, and he begins to explain that one of his duties is, checking on things, keeping things clean, organizing. So he actually has access to parts of the library that others don't, even more senior members, just because of his duty. And then he basically says because his house is kind of holds high esteem within the city, he's kind of gotten some of these perks, even though he'd rather be somewhere else doing something else, which you guys had kind of gotten a little bit of that from him when you first met him.
There's a lot to be said for being in a position of trust, Vance. I'm sure you're good at what you do. So which is your house, just for reference?
My house. We are the star evenings.
Okay. I was just wondering. See, you wouldn't know it to look at me because I'm an elf like you, but I'm actually from outside the city, so I didn't know.
For the first time, he kind of like shows a bit of like playfulness and kind of like half rolls his eyes. Is like, I would have never guessed. But
of course not. And she, like, as she says this, she like casually swishes her super swishy elven clothing that she bought like earlier, that's fresh off the rack and still has hanger marks on it. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So with that, he also goes, well, you see, I'm sure you've been here for at least a day or two, right?
Well,
I think we got here yesterday, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it was yesterday.
Feels like a week ago.
We've settled right in, though. We've settled right in.
So you must have seen how they treat you.
Well, I've encountered a few elves before. It's not exactly anything new, but it's a little sad to see that it happens here too.
Well, unfortunately, my kindred feel that everyone has their place, and you're just lucky. You probably haven't met some of the other elves yet. They're even worse if you think the high elves are bad.
There's yet another rank of and then she's trying to find a diplomatic way of saying this, and finally she just says extra high elves.
Well, when we came over from the Feywild, for so many millennia ago, that some of the elves adapted right away and fit right in, and they're more like yourself, referred to as a wood elf. Well, the high elves kind of look down on them, and they still long for the Feywild and more of the old ways, and they haven't completely adapted to this world, even though we've been here for so long.
So what you're saying is they're slow and they're being hoity-toity about it.
Yes, exactly. Some of us of the newer, younger generations, we have different views. We're all elves. We all live here in Ulthgania and Carshapathian. But if you think the high elves are bad, what do you mean on Eladrin?
Eladrin.
Oh.
Huh.
They're like high elves, only higher.
Do they look like? What do they look like? And here, Deneen actually glances at Kenna for some reason.
Oh, because she's a bard and has probably read a little bit about them. Kenna's like, I've heard the word. I don't actually know a whole lot about them, just that they're more Fey-like.
I'm just wondering, because here we are researching some Fey, fallen Fey, and when you saw them in your vision, they looked like elves.
Huh. That's a good point.
So I guess wood elves look more earthy than high elves, and so he's trying to find a diplomatic way of explaining, correlating that from the differences between a wood elf and a high elf, well, is the same from a high elf to an Eladrin. But they are really touched by the Feywild.
So they're like extra pointy.
You know what? I think if I was to use a word, I would use otherworldly.
Well, they do sound interesting.
They are deeply connected to the Feywild, and they kind of go from here to here and there and back again. Where the high elves are kind of they're here, they're kind of stuck here, but I don't think they want to be here. And then the wood elves, they made it their home. And he's been rummaging through his keys the whole time. He's like, here we go, and he finally puts
Danine's going to say, do you need help with that? She's looking at the key and glancing at the lock.
No, I've done this plenty of times. They're just keys and locks. And he turns it with a click, and it opens up. And this room actually does seem a little musty.
That was partially out of character, partially in character.
Good timing.
Yeah. And it's rather small in comparison to the other rooms, but the ceiling is still vaulted, so it's like arched, and at the high point it's probably about 18 feet in the very center. And the room is lined on either wall with bookcases that go from the floor to the ceiling, and basically makes a horseshoe. And there are several tables in the center of the room with lamps on them. He walks into the room and goes to one of the tables and just touches the lamp, and it kind of lights up.
Ooh.
And he sets about doing it, and he's like nonchalantly, like, looks over his shoulder, and he's like, what are those names again? Who are you looking for?
They are Drasamina, Karasa, and Asina.
So as you say the names, like, there's a slight draft that comes through the room, and it feels a little chilly when this happens, and it begins to like increase a little bit, and books start kind of like falling off the shelves, and pages start flying out of them and swirling around.
Proto-Google.
Or I look at Vance to see if he thinks this is something normal.
He's looking at you guys, and it's kind of happening behind him. And then he kind of like, cocks an eyebrow and is like, what is that noise? And looks back, as this huge winged creature forms of paper and scroll.
Oh, that's not good.
With writing all over it. It almost looks like a humanoid winged dragon, and kind of in its shape, but it's like almost like origami style the way it looks. And it takes one large taloned claw and just rams it through the back of Vance.
Ah!
Oh my god. Okay.
This sounds like a roll initiative moment.
How bad is that?
Well, you see bloody claws coming out from his chest.
This is a great case. This is a good time for me to cast Spare the Dying, I think.
Yeah.
And,
yeah, that is much cheaper than Revivify. Thank you.
So I'll grab Vance's body and try to at least pull him away from this thing and get him off to the side. And
good. I'm gonna draw down.
Cast on him with a prayer to Eleven as I do so.
Okay.
And it's like step between them and the crazy horse thing. Dragon, paper. Ooh, that was a good roll.
Are we initiative?
Yeah, we were going to initiative.
Oh, Danine, you disappoint me.
She's transfixed. She's transfixed on the fact that Vance is now kind of transfixed on the spot.
Yeah, this isn't good.
I
promise it's not always like this.
Don't worry, I don't think he hears you. Blood is like kind of boiling out, frothing out of his mouth. So what are you doing, Kenna?
All right. All right. So I am, I guess, going to attack this book creature. Because what do you do after it kills somebody like that? I mean, you don't really talk after that. Those are not talking words.
Yeah, really not.
It's more like a paper creature than a book creature.
So 10 on my first attack. I'm sure that's not going to hit.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's not going to hit either.
But I nat 20 on my second attack.
That will absolutely hit.
7 damage.
So, all right. So Kenna comes charging in, barreling in after witnessing this atrocity. Probably flecks of Vance's blood is kind of like flying in your direction, and she comes in slashing wildly, missing with the first shot, but with the second shot finding her mark as paper tears, shreds, and rends. And the creature kind of like throws its head back to howl, and it's this raspy, really dry sound to it.
Like rustling paper.
It's a little bit like that, only like amplified a lot.
I love it.
And then it looks down at the two of you, and like where the eyes would be, the eyes are almost pure black. Except for what you realize, what's the black is actually ink from writing. You can actually see like writing kind of moving where the pupils and the iris would be. And then it's kind of like large draconic head, and the jaw just drops open, and it exhales, and all of this like dust and basically just dust just billows out in a cone, engulfing the three of you. So give me a con save.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Vance automatically. Oh, this is
not my best, but it's not my worst either.
I got a 9.
13.
All right, so I can tell you that the 9 is not going to cut it.
Oh dear.
But I believe the 13 will do. So, Deneen, you cannot see. As your eyes fill with dust and sand.
Well, that won't be good.
And with that, since Kenna is right there, the creature will lash out. For some reason, I was going for a dice roller that I no longer have.
Getting out a calculator for ye old hit points.
Good call. So I believe an 11 is going to miss you.
Oh, yeah.
But a 22 probably will hit.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Kenna, I hate to see you get injured, but conveniently I can't.
Oh, that was a good one.
So it barely grazes you for 3 points of damage.
Paper cut damage.
Yeah, essentially it is paper cut damage.
This thing's really bad is the point.
Yeah. But with that, it begins to its claw begins to try and wrap around you, and basically engulfs you. So right now it is is wrapped its paper talon around you, and it's almost like the paper unfolded to wrap around you even more.
Okay.
All right, and Deneen, you are up.
So before I was blinded and before combat started, did I manage to spare the dying on Vance? Or am I doing that now?
I will say you did that.
Okay. Well, then no wonder I was so late to the party. But now I'm blinded. That really doesn't help. You said there's a lamp that magically lit up on the table here, right?
Yes.
Do I start a fire in a library? Oh, it's probably magical fire. This probably won't work. What do I do with this thing? I guess I'm just going to have to whip out a dagger and try and stab it.
Yeah, they had this place locked down. I'm pretty sure that the elves aren't going to be happy with us if we light a fire in this place.
Yeah. I mean, I could put it out, but yeah. I'm going to just try and slash at this thing where the last place I saw it.
Okay.
So I've got like one hand on my eyes because my eyes were killing me, and the other one I'm just jabbing arbitrarily. So with disadvantage, I still got a 15.
That will hit.
Oh, do I still get sneak attack because it's right here with Kenna and me?
You do. Kenna is still engaged into it.
So she's definitely flailing wildly with this dagger, but she actually slices up some paper for 22 damage.
Nice. So so did you stab? Did you stab or throw?
Oh, it's stabbing, piercing damage.
All right. So you definitely feel it resist your cuts.
But at least I hit it. That counts for something.
Yes, you absolutely did.
We're gonna need to find you a magical weapon.
Make a con save.
An 8.
You sounded so happy about that.
I was impressed that I beat my previous roll by -1.
So
in doing so, it gets even dustier because I'm stirring it up. Maybe
you try to cry it out, but you just turn it to mud on your eyes. So what is Kenna doing?
Casting blink.
Oh, that's a good move. I was a little worried about you. Blink is an awesome spell.
Yeah. So, oh right, that's at the. Oh, but that was my action. So, end of my turn. 12. I am in the ethereal plane.
Yes. So good news is, you are no longer trapped by the creature.
Oh, actually, before I blink into the ethereal plane, though, can I tap my shield and give her inspiration?
Oh yeah, it's a bonus action, so you can do that.
Cool.
And since I have no idea that you're leaving me here, I feel suitably inspired.
Yeah,
well,
she's like,
yep.
You got this.
You got this, Kenna, and she's gone already. I love it.
Although the chat seems to believe burning down the building would be in true Scarlet Sisterhood fashion.
Yep, I'm seeing that. That was a drug den. This is a library.
I would be able to avoid burning down the building. I think. If I could see. That's
maybe not this room.
Yeah.
But this room has the information we need in it. Maybe.
So, the creature comes fumbling and lashing out towards Deneen and absolutely connects. So you just get shredded for a bunch of paper cuts. For 6 points of damage, and
ow.
First swipe as you're kind of stumbling around.
And I can't even use evasion since I can't see.
Yeah.
Oh wait, but I could use my reaction to have the damage.
You could. You also take another 5 from the second slash.
Okay, so.
And again, like when you get hit, the hands kind of like unfold and begin wrapping around you.
Ugh. This is not good.
It could be problematic.
Yeah. So
your turn.
Deneen's turn?
It is Deneen's turn, yes.
Oh, okay. Well, she's busy getting wrapped up. She really doesn't want that to happen. But if she gets away from this thing, she's much less likely to hit it.
Sometimes you just gotta go ham.
Yeah. She's gonna shoot. She's gonna and the doors behind us are closed, correct?
Yes.
All right. Not that she can see that. She's gonna disengage and sort of quickly feel her way around the edge of the table to try and keep it in between them, and chuck one of her daggers at this thing.
Flip the table. Flip the table. Get yourself some cover.
I can't flip the table. I might hit Kenna, who I think is still there.
Oh, right. Sorry. I
So-
mean, you did hear me casting, but you probably wouldn't know what I was casting.
Yes. So I'm at disadvantage, and of course, I don't get sneak attack because there is no one there. So she's definitely not going to hit with an 11 to hit.
That is not going to. But
Yeah.
you said you're trying to get away from it.
Oh yeah,
So you have to make a strength check.
strength check.
Oh, no.
Oh man, strength definitely not my 13.
A 13. A 13 does just do it.
No,
I am sorry for kind of
away.
screwing you over, but I feel like
no, it's fine. It is
my strength
totally
check is
fine.
terrible.
You do the thing. You do you.
And now you can make your con save to see if you clear.
Oh. Oh, all right. A 6. I just keep rolling lower and lower, and then I'm going to come around the other side. That's my plan.
Nice. Stop that. My computer's gonna be covered in coffee.
Yeah.
It's unbecoming for a DM to nose his coffee on a stream.
New
All right.
party goals.
And after I chuck the knife and I don't hear it hit paper, I say, "I'm sorry, Ken. I hope that went over your head."
No response.
Huh? That's odd.
Just the rasping
Okay.
of paper.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So you said you ran around, put like a table between you and it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would try and hide under this table, but I kind of think it would be obvious where I went. So yeah.
It's like playing peekaboo with a small child. Kenna, so what are you doing? You're reappearing?
Yeah, I am going to reappear behind it and like start stabbing.
Okay. So you have advantage.
22 on my first attack.
That will hit.
6 damage. And then
Sorry.
23 on my second attack.
Yep.
For 8 damage.
So one of the things your keen elven ears does detect, Deneen, is when Kenna slashes at the creature, you just hear that clean, crisp cut of paper that you weren't really getting, when you were stabbing it. When you were stabbing, you're like sawing at it.
Well, I am perfectly happy to hear this. Go, Kenna. All right.
So are you blinking out?
Right, end of my turn, I have to roll for that. No, I am not blinking out. I rolled a 3.
Okay. That is like my new favorite spell for Uthengar. All right. So with that, the creature kind of lunges at each of you at the same time.
Even with a table in between?
We're on opposite sides of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got big reach.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
It's like a 20 foot wingspan. So.
Oh,
Let's do
well,
this.
I did not realize that, or I would be further away. Okay.
As long as
Well,
he's
no, I'm
not
just
going
saying,
after the
if you have 10
child.
foot- If you have 10-foot reach, 10 foot to either side is.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty good. But if I'd been trying to get out of range, I should have gone further then.
Okay, we can say
But
you.
it's all good.
No, we can say you can go on further. You kind of have a feel for how it's been attacking. So how far away would you want to be?
I would want to be far enough that, the whole reason I disengaged is I want to be able to get far enough away from it to not get hit again. And
Okay.
then I can hopefully start shooting at it as opposed to chucking daggers at it.
So we'll say
that's my long-term hope.
Okay. So
even though I still can't see it.
If you kind of went back to the door, that's like you could put like 20 feet between you and it.
Okay.
So, but that being said, Kenna will get all the love now.
That's fine.
Sorry, Kenna.
Does a 15 hit you?
No.
All right. 19?
Yes.
All right. So you'll take 5 points of damage as its claw rakes across you. But then, again, as it does, its hand like kind of morphs and unfolds and engulfs you once again.
Fair.
And that takes us to Deneen on the other side of the room.
All right. I'm at the door. I do have my bow. I'm going to shoot at this thing, making sure that I'm shooting higher than a Kenna height.
Okay.
With disadvantage. No, 13 to hit.
13 does not hit. You hear, you hear. Well, what you hear is you hear an arrow slam into a book.
Ooh.
That was either a book or you, Kenna. I'm sorry.
Wasn't me.
Okay, good.
Oh, you do have the Bardic inspiration as well.
No. Oh, let me use that. What was it?
Yeah, because after you use it, I can give it to you again.
A D what? D8? D10?
It's a D10 now.
A 10!
Nice.
So that's 23 to hit.
Yeah, that absolutely hits. So apparently it ricocheted off of that book.
Yes.
Slammed into the back of it.
Yes, I meant to do that. And Deneen is not sure if it hit, but in fact, it's 34 piercing damage.
Nice.
The book added power to the shot, apparently.
Yeah, you hear your arrow rip and run through paper. And also, you kind of hear that somewhat, Kenna. It's muffled because you have your head wrapped in paper right now. Like
Can I breathe?
No, you're actually
good.
Not draw breath through the paper.
Excellent.
But it's not really an issue quite yet. So what is Kenna doing?
Attacking this thing from the inside first, and then we'll see if I can blink away. $21 for the first attack. 6 damage.
Kenna's gotten really good at hitting.
17 for the second attack.
Yep.
8 damage.
8 was that max damage?
No. It was almost max damage, but it wasn't max damage. And then I nat 20 to blink into the ethereal plane, so I am no longer inside this thing.
Perfect. So you blink out. Deneen, you hear a bit of this like crinkling sound as well. First you kind of hear this muffled war cry from Kenna, and it's the slashing of paper, and then you hear a slight displacement of air, and then you hear like this crinkling sound that begins to get a little bit louder and louder.
It's coming after me.
Until you can actually make a con save, DC 13.
I got a 15.
Okay, so
is that good this time? That's good. DC 13.
Well, it is good, but basically, the crinkling sound stops, and then there's like a rush of air, and pieces of paper and sand just kind of like rake through you, and you're able to kind of like ball up and make yourself small so that you don't take the bulk of it.
Sounds good.
So you'll take half of 20 from slashing.
Right. So she gets slashed up, and I also took off earlier I did a half hit points, but I now realize I can't use uncanny dodge because I can't see. I was mistaken. I was looking at the wrong row. I was looking at evasion. So, yeah. Ouch.
No worries. So, with that though, you do have some cleric training and some magic. Vance would have been right near that explosion as well.
Oh, that's not good. But I don't know where he is. I mean, I know where he is, but that means he's probably dying again. Oh.
So make a saving throw to see if you can see now.
At the start of my turn? That is very generous of you. A 4.
Really are going to come around
I
the back,
swear.
aren't you?
I'm going to need to... This is another thing I'm going to need to screen cap and just do the progression. Yeah.
Yes.
You're so close to the 20 now. You're almost there.
I'm almost there.
Like 2 rolls away.
I have two more steps, apparently. Yeah, that's not cool. Oh, crap.
Kenna reappears on her turn. We're going to go out. We're going to stop initiative for now.
All right.
And go out of the turn. So the scene before you, Kenna, is Deneen is kind of huddled, by the doors, and all over the room there's pieces of paper literally stuck in the walls, and sand covers everything, and Vance is just completely covered in lacerations and pieces of paper kind of stuck in him, so that's what you see. But Deneen, it is your turn though.
I don't know that this fight is over. So there's this is unfortunate. Kenna blinked out in the same spot that the creature was in, correct? And she reappeared in that spot?
I would have reappeared behind it.
Because so
almost.
So
yes.
So if Deneen attacks that spot, she's not gonna accidentally hit you.
No, you've been aiming high, so I would assume.
Oh, that's true. She's been aiming high. So she pops back up to her feet, although she's halfway expecting to hit like paper claws, and she's going to shoot another arrow through that square.
Okay, fuck! As it embeds itself on the opposite wall into a face.
So wait, is the thing dead now?
You don't see it. No, you just see sand all over, paper all over.
Deneen's eyes are totally shut, so she's just blind shooting with tears of paper shreds falling down her face.
Are we out of combat?
You are out of combat, yes.
Okay, good. Then I'm gonna go and try to. I'm gonna take vitals on Vance.
Vance is kind of dead.
Okay, all right. I have Revivify. Kenna doesn't know the difference between a PC and an NPC. She's gonna use it.
So you cast Revivify, and there's a all the paper and sand kind of like begins pushing its way out of his skin, and he takes that first breath of life that you've just instilled back in him. Are they conscious when they get revivified, or are they unconscious?
They come back with 1 hit point.
Okay, so
I'm gonna start cure woundsing because I can do that.
So he's laying there panting. You can now say it after its amount of time, it just goes away when you don't make your saving throw.
Just for entertainment, I'm going to keep con saving to see how long this actually takes. Yeah, that's terrible.
I will go ahead and cast it as a level 4 spell because
it would have been another 5 rounds. So I'm really glad that you said it's done now. So even as Deneen is saying, Kenna, what's going on? She finally can see again.
It's down, I think. Oh my god, so much blood.
Oh, Vance. That thing and he's awake. Okay. But he looks terrible.
I'm fixing that. We're gonna be fine. Oh my god.
So with that, he's laying on his side, he's panting, he's sweating. He reaches up and he grasps Kenna's shoulder, and oh my god, thank you, my lady, thank you. I saw the other side. I was dead. I remember looking down and seeing that creature's claw bursting from my chest, and he's like grabbing at his chest, like looking for the hole, and his robes are all tattered and bloodied there.
Oh my god, I am so sorry. I gotta say, most of the time it doesn't happen like that. Most of the time you'll see it coming, but I can completely understand if you don't want to go anymore.
I can't believe it. You're a miracle worker. You've saved my life. You've brought me back from the brink.
Her face goes completely red.
He because he's like kind of laying on his side at this point. He kind of like rolls over to like where he's like almost on his hands and knees, and he like half hugs you with one arm.
Oh.
And he's like, I will never leave your side.
Oh no, that's really okay.
Kid, she didn't save your life so that she could bring it with her.
Yeah.
Oh no, I owe you a debt that can't be fully repaid. But I'm going to try. My father be damned.
I mean, just help us figure out this thing with those hags that's names I'm not going to say again.
And when you say that, it kind of looks, he's like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you did say those names.
Yeah, I did. And then a monster appeared. So let's try to not do that a second time.
That's never happened here in the library before.
Oh.
Well, maybe nobody's ever come here looking for information about them before. All the more reason for us to solve this.
So he begins like trying to gather up like the scraps from the creature. Because when you find some that are kind of sizable, they all have writing on them.
All right, let's start doing the puzzle piece thing. Does having the linguist feat help me at all in the assembling of these pages in any way?
I would think so. I would say, like, it's kind of like...
I have both observant and linguist, so...
Use guidance. Use guidance.
Oh, yeah. And also guidance.
Left the coin at Josh's house.
As Kenna is working on this, Deneen will cast guidance on her.
Thank you.
I'm sure El Even will want you to complete your task.
So after like 15-20 minutes painstakingly finding all the scraps and putting them together, you've got like 3 pages now of information, but it's not really like 3 full pages. It's just 3 pages worth.
Right.
I'm glad I didn't set it on fire then.
Yeah.
If you think it's relevant.
Maybe. I mean, it's better than nothing. And I'm like copying down what I can salvage from these pieces of paper onto a sheet in my notebook.
All right. So the first thing you realize is that it seems like this creature, at the very least, was made up of books containing information or writings containing information about the hags.
Great.
And then we said it, and then they blew up. Is what you're saying? Like, oh, this is such things do happen.
Like maybe, like their names are some kind of trigger for a magical trap or curse or something.
Are their names written down on any of these pieces of paper?
Yeah, you do find each of their names that you kind of like assemble.
I take those and I'm going to stow them so that I can just show them to someone else without having to write them down on purpose or say them again at any point. Because that seems like a good idea. Like, you don't say Voldemort.
Except for you just said it. No, so the Vance, yeah. So what do you guys know about? What do you ladies know about hags?
I know they took our memories, not hers, actually. She wasn't with us at that point, but me and our friends that isn't here right now, they asked us for something, and then we pulled out these objects, and then they took the memories attached to those objects.
Sounds dreadful.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is.
And our friend is particularly suffering from this, it seems like.
Ah, maybe that is why she went to seek the elven owl.
Well, we're going to get this fixed.
Is there anything relevant at all that I can glean from these pieces of paper that we've managed to reassemble.
You think so, but it's not in context right now for you. So you think you're going to need a little bit more information.
Okay.
But while you've been assembling that, like after he actually helped you, after Vance helped you to gather the pieces, he kind of like went to work, looking for things, and he pulls out a book, and he starts kind of like perusing it and reading it while you're doing what you're doing. And when he sees that you're done, he brings it over to you, and and that's when he says, "What do you know about hags?" And he says, "This might help."
What is that?
So it is a book that seems to be bound in probably some kind of flesh, and it's definitely it's like a leather, but the origin seems very sketchy at best.
I'm okay with this.
And when he like hands the book to you, like it's untitled, there's no name on it. There's just like one kind of like bump on the center of the cover of the book, the front of the book, and he kind of hands it to you in both hands. It's not a book, it's a tome, right? It's got some heft.
Right.
And when you take it, it's probably kind of heavy for Kenna. Well, that bump actually opens up and like reveals a reptilian eye that kind of looks at you.
Ah.
I look back at it.
And it like moves around a little bit.
Hello.
And blinks a couple times.
Has it ever done this before?
I don't know. I've never seen the book before. I really don't come down here that often. This is kind of part of the library we're supposed to stay out of.
Oh, then we should probably clean it up before we leave. And I'm going to open this book.
So this book is about hags, though?
Yes. When I opened it up, and when you open up the cover, you can kind of see, there's some depictions of what you would call hags or crones, as well as, very, very typical stuff like cauldrons of boiling stuff. And then you start reading it, and it's absolutely about dark fae. And there's a large section of it on hags. And, what you learn from that section, after you spend some time reading it, is that hags are very long-lived and creatures, and they play the long game. And really, they just like suffering. So they like to live far enough away from civilization where they can avoid pitchforks and torches, but close enough where they can influence things. And the hags play this weird game of where other evil creatures will come and seek people out. Hags don't actually do that. They wait for them to come to them, and they and use the wants of mortals against them. Kind of similar to what happened with you guys.
All
and
right.
They kind of live to get people under their thumb and keep them there and keep them suffering, and then kind of like expanding out from there.
Okay. In other words, we're probably going to have to kill them. How hard is that going to be? Can I glean that from this tome?
Well, it speaks of things. Speaks of hags in their kind of like their hierarchy. You have hags, and then you have aunties, and then you have grandmothers. So depending on where they fall is going to determine how difficult of a challenge this is going to be for you. And also, they're generally solitary, but sometimes they will form a covenant, like in this case where they have. And even then, they might be of equal power, or there might be even part of the hierarchy. And it also speaks of certain hags actually being, on par with like Fey Lords.
Well, we're going to have to figure out how to fight one of those eventually anyway. Does it say anything in this book about Fey pacts, by the way, since it's all about dark Fey? And sacrificing a firstborn in any sort of capacity is probably down that alley of the unseelie side of things. So I figured this might be a good opportunity to pick up some information on Danine's issue as well.
So actually, when you kind of go through that section, it really doesn't really like lean towards Seelie or unseelie. It's like they all follow the same rules. They just interpret them different.
Okay.
And definitely there's a lot about bargaining and accepting, and gifts is a big thing amongst the Fae. And what might just accepting something could be considered accepting a gift, and that that can always, all gifts from the Fae have strings attached.
Makes me wonder about that moon bow. And it's a bow, so it literally has a string attached. I'm sorry.
No, don't be. That was great.
But yeah, kind of makes me wonder about that moon bow. I'm glad I didn't ask to use it.
Well.
So there's these 3, not just one, but 3 powerful Fae, powerful enough to just take your memories. And they're all super magical. And somehow the 3 of us are going to fight them and win.
Absolutely we are. Yep.
There is one other piece that you may find interesting as well. So, as a bard, you use bardic magic. Do you have knowledge arcana?
Let me check.
Even if you don't, it doesn't matter that much because you're a bard.
No, I do not.
Okay, but you have jack of all trades, so you actually know a little bit of everything. So essentially, it goes into great detail how hags have the ability to use magic in unconventional ways, and they don't necessarily follow the rules of and traditions of what would be considered how magic is used.
Okay.
Well,
that makes sense.
We've got a lot of general information here. We don't have anything at all specific to them, which surprises me since their names are what triggered this attack.
Their names triggered this attack and destroyed any information we might have been able to find on them specifically.
Hmm.
And I would be willing to bet that they were the cause of that.
As
a matter of fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they knew that we had been looking up information on them and seeking things out in the ether. Like, that is probably something that they were tipped off about and knew to cast contingencies. I'm just saying. It's bad.
Do these names I won't mention, do they sound like elven names to me? Or to let's ask Vance, because what do I know about elven names?
Yes, they do. But he says they sound like elven names, but really old elven names, and kind of like shortened versions.
I'm wondering if we should be looking for like genealogy records here or something. But then we'd have to know when to look.
Yep.
And your vision that you had wasn't all that specific.
No, it wasn't specific at all. I mean, I have more information now. I could always try again, but that instance is expensive, and I'd like to have some more information beforehand.
Right.
The more you know, the more you can get.
What about, like, missing persons reports or something?
I know they were stealing people. I heard that they were doing some things with children. I know for a fact that they have Sheena under their thumb as well. And she's got a lot of holes. She's got a lot of holes in her... Dang it. A lot of holes in her memory and mind. That was a dog thing, sorry.
Well, considering the reaction we just got here, they probably know that we're after information on them. If Sheena's in tight with them, or they've got a lot of ability to use her magically, essentially, then maybe talking to Sheena about it is not so good.
No, we don't want to put her in danger if we haven't already done so.
Do either of you have insight?
Yes.
So give me an insight check using intelligence.
Insight, intelligence. Let me see how that would work here. So I'm trying to figure out how that would. Let's see.
When I make you do cookie checks, you're using Roll20, so
yeah,
you have to recalculate.
So I don't know if it's... Let me look at my wisdom. Okay, it would be 18.
Okay, excellent. So, you guys have been kind of like discussing the information you have, and the fact that that hags in general like to get people under their thumb. So it could be very possible that that somebody in the city is under their sway, under their influence, and maybe the hags themselves didn't set up this trap, but somebody else,
right,
looking after the hags' interests, or maybe even just their own interests and not wanting to be connected to the hags.
So Deneen relays this possibility to Kenna. It says whether they did it deliberately or not, they've been at this for a long time, and elves live for a long time. So it could be anybody. Well, anybody with access to this section, at least. Vance, you said hardly anybody ever comes down here.
Yeah, that is correct, my lady. And only a few of us actually have permission to come down here.
So who does?
Well, and any of the the greater houses in the city could kind of gain access to anything they wanted to, or one of the high librarians here at the academy.
Of course, it could have been hundreds of years ago, for all we know.
Well, they wouldn't have known ahead of time that they needed to set the trap here specifically.
Yeah, but it wasn't specific to us. It was somebody like trying to... I'm guessing that it was somebody trying to hide information about the hags. Either the hags requested that, or it was somebody who was trying to cover their own tracks for something they did in relation to the hags.
Wait a minute. Okay, so I got a cantrip last level, and I'm going to go read it really quick and see if this is even something that I could, like, conceivably do in any way, shape, or form. But I have mending now.
Ooh.
Oh, no, it's a single break or tear in an object. So, like, confetti
it would be slow.
is not...
Yeah, you have to put the edges together for it to mend. So you'd still have to do the
I
puzzle
can mend the pieces that we already put together, but I can't just mend the pieces that we weren't able to figure out what belongs to what.
So when you say, although backtracking just a little bit, when you say it could be hundreds of years, and you say it with like weight and significance, Vance kind of looks at you kind of funny.
Yeah, Vance. I know hundreds of years is not that much time. But the point is, these hags are ancient. So when I say hundreds of years, it could have been more than just 200 years. It could have been the predecessor of somebody in the library. We don't know.
Do you have records?
More than a generation is what I'm saying.
When the books come in?
That's a good question, my lady. I don't think those records are kept. I think they come in and they just store them. They become part of the library. Doesn't sound like a bad idea. If I have my own library someday, perhaps I will do that.
Perhaps you will invent some form of decimal system.
And I will name it after my first love, Dewey.
Right. All right.
Is that even exist anymore? Is that thing still around?
Well, I'm not sure this is really news to us. We already know that the hags are doing all kinds of things to and with and using all kinds of people that they encounter. So if it is somebody trying to cover something up, I mean, we have no way of knowing who it is or what it is. It could be my in-laws for all we know. But probably not, because I said that might be an archfey, whatever those are. So they sound like from what you're saying with this whole covens and aunties and so forth, they sound pretty high on the totem pole. I mean, an archfey would be pretty high on the totem pole.
It's true.
So while you guys are doing this, like Vance goes to a closet and gets out a broom and starts sweeping up all the sand.
I wave a hand in prestidigitation. Like, not even looking up from my book. I just straight up.
Can you clean Vance too? Because
yeah, that's probably a good idea.
Vance, it's probably for the best if you never mention this ever to your family or friends or anyone ever again.
Also casting mending on his robe.
So after he sees you prestidigitation, the cleaning, he goes, "Oh, that actually is way easier." And he kind of like does a little incantation of his own and begins doing the same.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The masters of the library hate when we do this.
Why?
Because they say it's wasteful.
How is it wasteful? You can do it as many times as you want.
You said it builds character for us to do it by hand.
I think your bosses are just being a-holes.
This is why it usually takes elves 100 freaking years to grow up, because they have to spend the whole time becoming the perfect sweeper or having the perfect swoop on their calligraphy. It's awesome that they have time to do that, but some of us didn't grow up like that. So
you know what? You can't magic your penmanship better, okay?
Well, you could with guidance.
I guess that's true.
I agree. You know what? I'm tired of these old stuffy ways, and that's why I'm going to follow and serve Mistress Kenna now.
Did I just accidentally acquire an apprentice? I'm not going to be able to get rid of him,
He's trying. He's trying, but this sounds like a... He's real breakable, Kenna. This is
okay, well, listen.
Idea.
He still wants to do this after he literally got killed doing the thing he wants to do. I think that he's really thought about it and he's made up his mind, and I'm not going to stop him. He's an adult. He's older than me.
He's totally not an adult. He's like 16 years old, Kenna.
Okay. 90.
Yeah. So he's nowhere near an adult yet, and I think he's lying about the 90.
I was sneaking out of the caravan and causing trouble when I was 15. Yeah, I'm just saying.
It's not like he's put deep thought into this. He said himself that he's doing this out of obligation because he owes you a debt. So when
he was already wanting to go on an adventure before that, though.
Yeah, but now he's doing it out of obligation.
Okay, well, don't do it out of obligation. You don't owe me anything.
If he could actually admit that he doesn't owe you anything, I might believe him. But I don't think it's true.
He's like, ladies, I'm right here.
Yeah. The grown-ups are talking, kid.
It's like Mistress Kenna said, I'm 90 years old.
Please stop calling me Mistress Kenna.
I'm old enough to make my Lady Kenna.
I'm not a noble, kid. I'm just a halfling, just a bard.
If you're supposedly old enough to make your own decisions, then do you think if you went and said, "Hey, Dad, I'm an adult now and I'm leaving town with these people," how do you think that would go?
Well, first of all, he would be completely disgusted to know I was associating with a non-elf, and I'm not sure what he would be angrier about, the halfling or the wood elf.
But the point is, if he's not enough of an adult to make this decision himself, then we would essentially be kidnapping him.
That's a good point.
How's that going to go, Kenna?
Okay, it's just that I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around the fact that a 90-year-old person can't go do what they want.
Would this be like statutory adventuring?
Yeah, I get it that he really wants to. I was sure as hell doing stuff a lot more dangerous than this when I was a lot younger than him. Don't get me wrong. It's within the realm of possibility. But if he's from some like highfalutin house, then not only are we kidnapping him, but then we have more enemies than ever before.
Okay, I mean, I guess
probably never come back to the totally awesome Elven City either with the awesome library.
I'm just saying, it feels wrong to treat him like a child because he's obviously not a child. He just died. No, you don't die and then still be able to be called a kid.
It's no disrespect to you, Vance. You've been super helpful. You are helping adventurers, and I do appreciate it. But we can't just take you as if it doesn't have any kind of like side effects or consequences. And as
I would have totally been of more assistance to you ladies had that thing not caught me surprised.
I
Where it
believe
won't
that.
happen again. You know, I had my back to it. It stuck its claw right through
It
me.
did kind of sneak attack him, and you know how devastating that can be.
Oh yeah, I mean, this isn't
know
really
a little bit
about
of
your
magic.
competence, Vance. It's really not just okay. It's not
We
just
don't want to
about
piss off
that,
your parents.
but it's, as adults, it's our responsibility to at least try to protect kids. And if you're, according to your culture here, legally you're still a kid, that's potentially problematic if we take you. That's what I'm worried about. And I'm sure you understand that since you're so adult and mature.
I do. That's a good point. That's why I'll go to another culture where I'll be old enough to make my own decision.
I like him. I really do.
You see, Kenna's like 16, 15 maybe.
Yeah,
And you know what?
like
That other culture will let you listen to your music as loud as you want, and you can stay up late without having to meditate on time.
He's going to totally turn into a donkey. What do you ladies do where you're from?
On paper, we run a bathhouse.
I could totally help with that. I'm really good with the letters and books. I could keep your books for you.
I really actually kind of like keeping my books. It's kind of the highlight of my week.
She puts on some candles and she prestidigitates some sexy music, and you don't want to be there.
It's not like that.
Oh man. He gets a little pink around the cheeks.
Oh my god.
I shouldn't have made that joke. The point is, the main point is, we would be kidnapping this guy.
Okay, but do you think that if he really wants to leave, we're actually going to be able to stop him?
No, not necessarily. But I get it. I was doing all kinds of stuff when I was young, but you may have noticed I'm a little protective of kids for some reason.
Yeah, no, I get you. I understand that, but he's not a kid.
You know what, ladies? I completely understand. I've got a solution. You guys can go your separate ways, and I'll just meet up with you back in Gryphongaffe.
Here's the solution.
That solves all the problems, except for the fact that you'd be traveling alone and probably going to get ambushed or something.
And eaten by a werewolf or whatever the hell it was on the road that was smashing wagons. Look,
that's
kid,
right.
Here's the solution. If you're such an adult, as I understand it, an elf can declare their adulthood and take an adult name. And then you'd be an adult, and you could do whatever you wanted. So you go talk to your family about that.
Well, it's like
do whatever the fancy elf ritual is that makes you an adult. I'm sure it takes like 15 months at least.
Oh my god!
It's like Lady Kenna said.
Just Kenna.
Real a-holes. How can you argue with our logic?
If they're real a-holes, maybe we don't want a whole city of them setting their guard after us.
She's got a point.
They'll forget about me in no time, but all right.
No, they won't. They absolutely won't.
Because elves, of all people, don't have long memories.
Come on, we're not dwarves for the love of leaving.
Look, here's the deal. It's a combination of being worried about you and worried about us. And I've lived as long as I have by worrying about me. So I'm just saying.
Well, you heard her. I mean, if it were completely up to me, I'd be completely about this, but it's not. So.
I mean, I might reconsider my attitude if you somehow found us even more information on the aforementioned unspecified ladies.
I'm like smirking at Deneen now and giving her this like, oh, I see what you're doing look.
Yeah.
And I'm like caught between being a little bit like I'm not really surprised, but I'm a little bit impressed. That was slick.
You know, I mean, you told us you're good with books, but I really don't think there's anything else to be found. So maybe you should just stay here and research that forever while we leave.
So when you say that, like he puffs out his chest a little bit, stands a little taller, and he gets this glint in his eye, this look of determination. I will do that. I will find more information for you.
Uh-huh. And we've already ransacked, of course, the most super secret room in the whole library. So Deneen has her doubts here.
Kenna doesn't. Kenna believes in him.
And don't forget, you also have to declare your legal adulthood and be accepted as such by your culture. Because that's important too.
At that, he deflates a little bit.
I don't make the rules, kid. You people make.
For just a moment, it was like the scene from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh no!
And there's a chance. So, what will you do next?
I don't know what to do with this information, Kenna. I mean, we
we've
know about hags.
We have a whole list of places that we have yet to check out yet. So I'm thinking we'll go check out one of those, see if we can find the names. Don't say them again because that was a terrible idea the first time. And, you know, just be a little bit more in the DL about what we're doing. Since clearly we have to be.
Didn't somebody say something about going to one of the temples for, like, help on this?
Oh, absolutely. That's on our list of places.
Like with the memory thing?
Uh-huh.
So, because, I mean, Agnetha's really having a hard time.
I know she is, and that is absolutely our first priority, but those hags screwed us, and now they have to pay for it.
So you also have like 3 pages of kind of like scattered notes, but you're going to have to take, you're going to actually, to really garner stuff from that, you're going to have to take time to do that.
Yep.
Well, whenever you do that, I will guidance you and attempt to assist you, even though my reading Elven is maybe not as good as my spoken Elven.
I'm not sure if tongues helps with written word or not.
It does not.
Nope.
Comprehend languages is for written.
I don't believe I have that, so no.
Did you just say that your written Elven isn't as good as your spoken?
Not well. Okay, here's how I learned Elven. Every once in a while, an elf would roll through Ryland and like stop at a bar somewhere, and I'd basically corner them and make them have conversations with me for as long as I could. And basically, that's how I picked up Elven over the course of 200 years.
Yeah. Well, no, I just asked because you kind of suck at speaking it, and you said you're better.
Yeah.
Then, gotcha.
Well, they do have a kind of sucky alphabet. Have you ever tried to read Cyrillic?
But Kenna cast tongues on me before we went into the library, so it shouldn't be that bad yet, unless it's been more than an hour.
At this point, we're probably getting there.
Yeah. Then her elfin suddenly collapses into terribleness. So yes, absolutely. I was a busy kid, okay? I didn't have a bunch of elves to teach me stuff and to give me jobs that build character
and guidance and such.
Yeah.
Terrible role models. I totally get it. So, all right. So what is the plan of action now? Vance is like, all right, well, I can't, if I leave you guys in here, you kind of have to, you're going to have, he kind of looks back and forth between the two of you.
I can lock the door after we leave.
I think.
Yeah, I was hoping one of you could do that.
I doubt we're going to be able to find anything else here, though, so.
Well, should we try as long as we're here?
Yeah, it'd be worth taking a look. We'll peruse and hopefully see you again before we go, Vance.
Is there anything in particular you want to look for before I leave? Just because I have a little bit better lay of the land. Can point you in the right section.
Yeah. Anyway. What's a moonbow?
What's a moonbow? Good question. Yeah. He looks a little
like the weapon, not a thing not a meteorological effect.
Celestial event.
Or a fashion statement.
Right.
So that sounds like that might be really old. And he brings you over to a small section, but you know it's a small section of ancient elven artifacts and arms and armor.
Mm.
And he's like, if there's anything, it's over here.
All right. Janine is going to look through this book because whether she can read it or not, she can look at the pictures and she remembers what that thing looked like.
I tap my fingers on the leather-bound book that I'm still holding, and I look at Vance, and I'm like, so, a bunch of books ended up getting blasted in that attack. I don't suppose it would be a whole lot of trouble to just tell them this one got blasted, too.
I can look the other way.
All right. In that case, your debts were paid. This is all I want, and I'm going to stick that in my bag.
And I just got an idea. All these stuff that flew out of the shelves and formed into this monster that we think was the material related to these lovely ladies, did it primarily come from a particular section?
It didn't. That's a very excellent observation.
Okay. Well.
Well, no, you can kind of so what you can do is you can look and you can see where it looks like the books were disturbed, or like even there might be, oh, look, there's actually a space where a book was, because the other ones are still kind of standing up.
Okay.
Or if they fall over. And there, some of them were definitely groupings.
Huh. So is there a way, Vance, to like infer what was here?
Well, you guys could actually do it by looking at the other books that were in here.
Okay.
So they're in sets of volumes and stuff.
Yes.
All right, cool. So I'll go ahead and walk around and write down what those were, and then you can look for your weapon in that book, and we can get this done quickly.
Okay. I start flipping through the book.
So what you end up getting is almost like sections or categories. So curses, fae. There is one of the sections is nobility.
All right, that's interesting.
Feywild. And then there's another section that seems to be about otherworldly creatures. Especially talks of, you find there's a couple books that are like denizens of the lower planes.
Got it.
Huh, interesting.
And then there's the final one is like the smallest section, but it's like, pardon me, the books that you do see are all like on charms and fetishes. Not that kind.
I know. I'm mature.
And meanwhile,
so when you're researching that section, you do find in one of the books, it takes you a little bit longer than it should, but you don't find anything about a moon bow so much as a moon blade.
Okay.
And it's actually like a hereditary item that gets passed down through the generations, and with each generation taking possession of it, it gets a little bit more powerful than it was before. Typically, they're swords.
Well, so it's sort of like a family heirloom. Does it say anything about fae?
It does not.
Okay.
But that being said, like reading through like the different stuff, if you spend some time doing it, you can see that some of the most powerful items have actually come from archfey.
Interesting.
And what you find in that reading is, pun intended, usually accepting a weapon of such caliber from an archfey is a double-edged sword.
With strings attached. Exactly. Yes. All right. Well, that is very interesting. I'm going to conclude as I explain all this to Kenna. I'm going to guess that it's a similar situation here with this moonbow.
I think that's a fair way to go about it. And I think that it's probably a bit of a boon that we're having to prepare for fae on both sides of this issue.
Yeah, hopefully.
So I'm thinking that part of what we need to figure out is what they're weak to.
Well, you've got a whole book about hags to be reading, so.
Yep.
I went to Karshapathan and all I got was homework.
Ken is okay with this.
All right, so what is the plan now?
You want to hit the temple, or?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Oh, and
Well-
Kenna, could you clean my pretty outfit? I bled all over it.
Prestidigitation.
Yeah, I guess I should heal myself. Oh,
I can take care of that. I'm sure we're not going to get into another. You know what? I said that before we came in here. Never mind. You got this.
Oh, well, I have. Okay, if I heal myself, I'll have one more spell in case I need to bring you back up, like in an emergency. So I'll see how well that goes. Let's see.
Well, let me know if you want me to handle it, because I've got slots.
All right, I got it. So Deneen casts this spell, and she looks a little better, but she's definitely not all the way better. She's still all cut up.
But the important thing is your dress has been fixed.
That is the important thing, absolutely. And you've got that mending too. So there's a little hole right here that could. Thank you. It's just so pretty.
It is very pretty, and you look very pretty.
She swishes it again. She swishes it again. And then she uses thaumaturgy to make her eyes perfectly match the dress.
Perfect.
Because that's what's important here. Fashion, okay?
And well, you know what? Everything has its place.
But then as a distinct afterthought, Deneen says, but maybe I should put my armor back on?
That's probably a good idea.
Okay.
The question is, can you put the two together?
Well, she'll use like the scarf or something from the pretty dress as like a sash or something like that. So she'll still have something.
Well, at least now you have something to wear if we ever get invited to a fancy party.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay.
When I get back to Gryphongaffe, I could take Ilarion out on a date and wear fancy dress.
That's adorable.
You can double up with Harak and Agnetha.
I'll take Monty.
Excellent. Yes.
That's just weird.
Well, Vance, thank you for all your help. Don't forget to not mention the whole dying thing. We are staying at the whatever the name of that place was that I've totally forgotten. If you do find any information,
I will absolutely pass that along.
Oh, it's the Song Tree Tavern.
I was perusing my notes looking for it, but yes, yep, there it is. Yep.
So to the temple, I suppose.
All right. But we'll swing by the Song Tree first so I can change into my armor.
Okay. I also need to stop and pick up some more reagents for Revivify. I'm actually really proud of myself for having brought someone back from the dead today, so I'm like preening the whole way there.
So Deneen says, I can't imagine I was much help in that fight, but you must have taken that thing out.
You hit it real good at one point.
I was never really entirely sure. Like, you hear papers rustling and you don't know for sure if you hit anything. When I hit it one time with the dagger, I knew I hit it, but otherwise I really wasn't sure. I just tried to not shoot you. That was my big goal.
Well, I was blinking in and out of the fight the whole time, so...
And Deneen raises her eyebrows with a sort of cheerfully blank look and says, I'm sure that's awesome.
That's right, you had confetti in your eyes.
I couldn't see anything. I'm so sorry I missed it. I'm sure it was epic.
It's all right. I'm sure you'll see it again. I actually don't have to expend any, like, reagents or anything in order to do that, so... real exciting.
Well, I look forward to it then.
So now Denise may be wondering how rapidly blinking your opening and closing your eyes in combat is a great assistance, but
yeah, it'll. But she's willing to allow things to remain a mystery, and especially if she figures she'll find out later. So yeah, that's cool.
So as you guys go through the door to the song tree, you're quickly greeted by the server that had waited on you before, Gabriel, and he asks, is there anything I can get for you ladies? I know you guys, you seem, your companion anyway, seem to really enjoy the tempura mushrooms and that plum honeysuckle sake.
That would be wonderful, but we're just stopping in briefly to pick up some things.
Oh, as you wish.
Janine is still sighing because this means she has to change her clothes, but she does. She goes upstairs and
your judgment cannot hurt me right now.
Gets her armor, puts on her new fancy sash, keeps that. Takes off the completely impractical shoes that she also bought to go with the dress. Puts on her regular boots. These boots are more comfortable anyway. So yeah.
So when you come back down from getting changed, so are your spirits a little lagging right now?
No, it's I've got my sash and I'm in clothes that I'm actually more comfortable with. So she'll go to Kenna. She's busy rationalizing this. She says, it's for the best. I want to keep that dress nice.
You do want to keep that dress nice, and you look really good in it, but I think you look better as you.
Which is kind of funny since I'm disguised literally all the time. But that's my style, so it works.
You. That is you.
Yes, that is my style, so it totally works. Thank you very much, Kenna.
So with that, you guys head out, and you're looking for the temple. You'd already been kind of like scoping out like shortcuts and stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I'm trying to get a feel for the city.
Yeah. So
because I'm just so elven, and so of course I get a feel for the city. So, but at the same time, even though Denine can use shortcuts and get places faster, she's still in like sightseeing mode. So I don't know unless Kenna indicates some kind of a rush that she would be using her fancy double time thing.
Nah, we can just stroll through the city all casual. Like, I'm down with that.
Awesome. Rubbernecking it is then.
So you guys casually make your way through the city and head to one of the temples. I believe that's what you were looking for. And
we since Denine now knows the official symbol for El Even, that might be the place to head. I'll probably get like some street kid there for being a cleric, right, Kenna? What do you think?
Maybe.
Do you think that'll count for something?
I think religious folks tend to be a little bit less judgy. Well, actually, never mind. But in some places, smaller towns, maybe.
Wait. Should I disguise myself as a high elf?
Do you think it would help?
It's kind of a thing here.
Yeah, do it.
Oh yeah. All right. Let's.
I'm gonna pretend to be your like footman or something. We got this.
I'm sure there's nothing so low class as an alley in this city, but she'll duck behind the vine-covered trellis of a private garden and use her disguise kit.
Well, there's always alleyways. They're just
okay.
They're just nicer here,
right?
And they don't let garbage collect.
Yes, exactly. So she'll use her disguise kit and ask Kenna to make her as like undusty as possible.
Yeah, I fix that as best as I can, and then I proceed to walk like 2 paces behind her as we go into the temple.
That's right. Remember, you work for me.
That's right.
Okay. Well, as you guys duck into the alleyway to make a quick change, and you're there only for moments doing your thing when you start hearing as elves begin appearing around you, the both of you.
No.
Oh, this is good.
Wielding shields and spears, except for without having ever seen one before, you are in the presence of a ladrin.
Are they extra pointy?
They are extra pointy.
Do they look like the city guard?
Kenna, I was right.
No, they actually look kind of roguish for...
Oh, that's not good, because we're in an alley.
Hey, we can talk about this. But I'm like already slipping my hand into my boot to draw last breath.
No. Hey, fellas. Fancy meeting a fancy few fellas like you here. And meanwhile, I'm thieves canting, just in case they literally are rogues. So what's up, guys?
They literally look like the hardest, prettiest people you've ever seen in your life.
So they're like glittering razors.
Yes.
And of course, I don't have tongues cast on me, so it's probably unintelligible, but that is what I attempted to say.
So you tried speaking to him with Thieves' Cant, you said?
Yeah, in between my terrible elven. So I'm not so sure that would work, but I'm trying.
I'm gonna be honest. I feel like we get attacked more in town than anybody else ever.
that there's a possibility that might be a thing.
There's a possibility that there might be a reason for that, but
so how does this go over?
So what exactly did you say to him again? I'm sorry.
It was basically a fancy meeting you fellas here. And in Thieves' Cant, she's basically giving them the I don't want any trouble / greeting, mainly to see if they are literally rogues or just here to harass us on principle.
Well, as you're doing that, you do spot something that looks a little bit unpromising. And they have brooches holding their cloaks, and on those brooches, in the center of it is like two clawed hands with an eye, just like the one in the book.
Oh, this is my fault.
Oh. So I would recognize that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You saw the book, and it's pretty obvious.
Great. Monty doesn't like them either.
No,
clearly not.
You great. They probably think I stole that. I mean, I guess I technically did steal that.
No, Vance said we could have it, and he was the highest authority at that library that we had spoken to.
That's a good point. Okay, this is probably just a big misunderstanding. Did you want this? Because I just checked it out.
I just checked it out.
Yeah, we were at a library.
So.
Oh my God! Hold on. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm going to go with, you don't think that's what they're after.
Okay. Well, hopefully that book is in a bag or something, as opposed to being toted around in the open anyway.
Oh yeah, I did put it in my bag. It is fully concealed.
Okay.
But if I get the impression that's not what they're after, then I'm not getting it out or giving it up.
Or mentioning it.
Like I said, like that looks similar, but you guys have been in the city for a day or so, and you've seen the watch, you've seen guards, you've seen soldiers, and you haven't seen any symbology that looks like that. And it also, frankly, looks rather on the creepy side for elves.
Yeah, that's probably not good. So do they say anything then in response to the probably unintelligible elven attempt?
The one of them does respond, and he points his spear in your direction, and in a very elegant, almost sing-song like voice. You are interlopers, and you've put your noses where they do not belong. For that, it will cost you your lives.
Are you sure you want to risk yours trying to carry that out, sir? Draws dagger.
Okay.
Yeah, this doesn't sound like a talking situation. Wonderful.
Every situation can be a talking situation.
You do usually try that first. But then they tell us we've got to pay with our lives, and it becomes pretty clear that it's murder in time.
Yeah, true.
It's not murder if it's self-defense.
All right, so there you go. All right, did cooperate. It lagged. All right, so you guys are up.
All right.
Or at least Deneen is up.
Yep. And Deneen is up because the first thing she does is leave. We are in an alley, which means we're between two buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Deneen can climb without it costing her extra movement. So super fast, she is going up a neighboring building and going and hiding among the eaves of this building. And she's going to shoot the guy that said we have to pay with our lives.
Excellent.
So that's a 24 stealth to hide. And then, Deneen, and just a 14 to hit.
So, you know, the 14 actually clangs off his shield. Almost with preternatural reflexes. He gets it up just in time to keep you from putting an arrow in his face.
It was worth a shot. And she'll duck back behind the chimney to break line of sight.
Oh, this is going to be fun. How many of them are there again?
6.
Oh.
And just me.
Maybe we should
let's
run
do
back out.
this.
Maybe we should run back out to the street. Probably there are people that wouldn't let us just get arbitrarily killed. Maybe.
Well, I'm not up next, but on my turn, I'm about to go invisible. So we'll see what happens. We'll see if I can survive it this round.
Yeah, this is where things will get a little bit interesting, I suppose.
At least
if I go down, I'm going to go down growling. It's good. I am ready to take you all on. Let's do this.
Nice. I like your attitude.
The important thing is that we can see.
Well, that is actually pretty helpful.
It's the little things.
Like me.
Oh.
So the leader growls, "Take the little one." And they all leap forward. Holy shit.
That's not good.
No.
Now this is an advantage roll. This isn't 2 rolls. But I don't know if you guys can see that.
I see that. Thanks, Dave.
Yeah, I just got super stabbed.
You did just get super stabbed. Oh my god, that's another 20.
I'm sorry, Kenna.
Okay. I really should have healed myself after that origami fight. But we're in town and I didn't think about it.
So
at least I put my armor on.
They all rush in. So how bad could this possibly be, right? That's what we're all asking.
Bad enough.
I should have blessed us both and then gone to hide. That's what I should have done.
Let them come. No. My backup is a paladin. I'm ready for this.
Kid, I like the way you think.
The paladin and a rogue. Oh, yeah. No. Kenna, do not die.
Well, it depends what kind of rogue she is.
We'll see.
Yeah, she's not going to be a babysitter type paladin.
We'll see.
So, 43.
Okay. I am not dead.
Oh.
So, so they've all gone, and basically they encircled Kenna, when the leader commanded it, and they all just like thrust at once.
Yep.
That's horrifying.
And so how bad is Kenna off?
Pretty bad. She's bleeding like a mofo. It's not good.
But you're still conscious.
I am still conscious.
Ah, that's fine. It's your turn.
Greater invisibility.
Ooh.
And then I'm gonna try and dart between their legs and get back into the main street and leave.
Okay, give me a stealth check.
Okay.
With advantage. Sorry.
$20.
Okay, yeah, you're fine. They have no idea. They had no idea where you're at initially. And then they're like, oh, wait a minute, let's follow the trail of blood.
Yep.
So all right, so you dart back out into the street?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Deneen, what are you doing?
So Deneen had gone behind the chimney so that she would be completely out of view. So now she peeks out and sees like a puddle of blood and then pursuing out into the street. So clearly this didn't go well for Kenna. I don't realize Kenna's invisible, however. So Deneen, since nobody's apparently paying attention to her, will stealth her way over to the front side of the roof so she can look down into the street and see what's happening.
Okay, so you see them, rush to like the mouth of the alleyway, and they're kind of whispering to each other and looking around. And just before stepping out of the alleyway, you see them turn their brooches, so that they're not really visible anymore.
Interesting.
And they're kind of looking around, and one of them's pointing to the ground, and from where you can see some dark splotches in the street that they seem to be kind of keying in on, and they're just kind of like trying to like be nonchalant, and like they're throwing their cloak over the shield, and the spear is like kind of over the shoulder. They're like moseying out.
If they're moseying out, that means they don't know for sure where Kenna is. So I'm looking around for Kenna and not seeing her.
Yeah, and also you're getting that vibe of like, oh, they didn't just rush out like, oh, we're going to go to war on this person. They seem to be like trying to be discreet-ish.
Right.
You did hear me casting though.
Yeah, but I always hear you casting. That doesn't mean I know what it was.
That's true.
But
as many times as I have gone invisible in front of you, though.
Right. The important thing is I don't see a fleeing Kenna, and I don't see them pursuing a Kenna actively. So I'm not too worried about Kenna. And I'm
any of them carrying a large sack either. So
right, exactly. So I'm just gonna stay hidden up here and not try to shoot them to death in the broad daylight of the street, because that might be a little too obvious.
Yeah, it's not Ryler.
Yeah.
Kenna, what are you doing?
Casting Cure Wounds as a 5th level spell and heading for the temple.
That is where we were going.
So I heal myself for 36 hit points.
Whew. Nice.
Which is still not as much damage as I took, but I'm at least not dying now.
Maybe someone at the temple can help you. Maybe.
I'm hoping that closed my wounds enough that I'm not bleeding a trail that they can follow.
So the one that seems to be the leader does this like shrill whistle, and the rest of them just come back to him, and they're kind of beneath where you're at, where Deneen's kind of hiding in the rafters, and you hear him say, "Doesn't matter. We know where they're eventually going to go back to the Song Tree Inn. Send a look."
All right. Therefore, Deneen knows what she's going to be doing later. All right.
Okay, please do not leave my dog in that alley.
Oh gosh, I didn't even think about it. Is he sitting in the alley?
I mean, I don't think
Or
that we
did
would
he
have brought him
bolt
to the library with us, but clearly, like, we made a comment about him being there a minute ago, so I guess we had him with us and left him outside while we were in
Well,
there.
and then if there's a fight, would he run away? Like
No.
Oh,
No, if left to his own devices, he absolutely barks and bites and growls because that's what he does.
I forgot about Monty. For some reason, I didn't
all
think.
right. Well, then Kenna's MIA. Danine's going to look down and see if she can see Monty anywhere, or if they're paying any attention to Monty.
Well, Monty, I'm going to say Monty probably bolted when Kenna did.
Okay.
All right, he knows what to do. We'll be fine. Oh, he doesn't remember me.
Yeah, but we're still the only people he knows.
That's true.
He can smell you at least.
He can smell me, and I don't have to be bleeding for him to follow that trail. So hopefully he'll meet up with me.
Or you might find Agnetha.
That's true. I'm kind of hoping that he picks that option to the H, but we'll see.
So Deneen is hereby exasperated. So she's going to use the roofs of buildings as her shortcut through the city at this point. Remaining stealthy, she's going to take off the pretty sash because that makes it super obvious that it's her. She's going to redisguise herself to look different yet again. And she's just muttering and complaining and hoping Kenna is still alive and hoping that you went to the temple for healing, hopefully, as opposed to going back to the inn.
Oh, I am claiming sanctuary as soon as I get through those doors.
Because Deneen has to decide, does she go immediately back to the inn or does she go to the temple? But she really wants to find Kenna, so she's hoping Kenna is headed to the temple.
All right,
so that's where I'm heading.
So you head to the temple, and so you actually get there before Kenna.
Ah, that's true. I am fast.
So what is Kenna doing?
I am staying invisible as long as I can, and the second I uninvisible, I'm gonna try to bury myself in a crowd before I get there. And then when I get there, I'm just gonna push the doors open and yell sanctuary and do that dramatically.
Really appear, just as you're getting to the temple. And Deneen, if you're kind of hanging out waiting,
there's a high elf wearing Deneen's armor.
Okay.
Who has already asked the temple, have you seen my halfling servant? I heard she was headed this way, but she's always late. She was headed this way. And then when she hears that they haven't seen anything like that, she says she's always late. And then she goes outside to the steps because she's like, oh, I don't know whether to stay here or not.
Yeah, so the commentary you kind of get to that is, yes, the lesser races are so unreliable.
So, and then Deneen goes out to the steps as she's trying to figure out whether she wants to stay here or hightail it back to the inn.
And that's pretty much when Kenna appears out of nowhere.
Oh, Kenna, you bled a lot. Are you?
I hung out and I healed myself.
These mofos, whatever that creepy symbol they were wearing, they hid it. So this is some kind of secret society. We can look that up later, but they're going to send a lookout, they said, to watch the song tree. So that's the person I need to sneak up on later and murder, and we get Agnetha and get the hell out of here. That's what we need to do later, but right now you need healing or something.
Okay.
Let's do what we were going to do.
Take care of that. But we need to talk to them about what we were going to talk to them about. And I'm thinking maybe we could make up some kind of plan to lure out whoever it is that's scouting for us at the inn, if that's happening. Because only one of us really needs to catch them by surprise. If it's just the one, then we'll be okay.
I can take care of one guy.
Yeah. All right.
I mean, we can if we need to, if you want to work together on it. But yeah.
I mean, assuming that we know who it is. I was thinking about being the bait, since we don't know they know Agnetha is here.
Yeah, but if they use that whistle to attract each other's attention, I think we need to get this guy before he sounds the alarm that he saw you.
Right.
But we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Let's get what we need to know from this temple and hurry.
All right.
All right, let me get in character here. I'm gonna stand up a little straighter, flip my hair back, my glorious blonde gold elf hair, and
Gonna
head
heal
into the
myself
temple
again.
and clean up all your blood.
Yeah.
Ah, poor Kenna. But I can't show a trace of sympathy for her.
That's fine. I understand.
So she will. Deneen heads into the temple and looks around expectantly.
So it's pristine. Everything is white and black marble, chased with gold and silver. There's fountains all over the place, and they're arranged just so with the acoustics of the building to kind of make this like peaceful, tranquil background sound. There's symbology and to leaving all over the place, as well as an altar in the center of the temple. Instead of being lined up where you might have where a preacher would preach from and the altar behind him. And in this case, the altar is actually in the center so that people can worship in 360 degrees.
And Deneen is looking around and trying really hard to not look impressed. And then it occurs to her, can you cast tongues on me again?
Yeah.
Do you have it? Can you do it?
One more time. And she does.
Okay. Now this completes my super suave gold elf disguise. So she'll look around like, of course she belongs here. And she'll look for anyone who might be attending or working here.
So yeah, there's some acolytes, tending to things, cleaning, polishing, normal stuff that they would be doing, collecting offerings from the various donation boxes and.
All right, so she'll stride over to one of these people and say, I am Entrenestriel, and I'm a cleric of Eleven and I would like to inquire. I've been having a problem with two of my servants are having memory issues. And it's unfortunately beyond my holy powers to cure. So I was wondering if someone here might have more information on holy cures from our great Lord.
Oh, of course we do, milady. But sometimes wouldn't it be easier just to find new servants?
Yes, but unfortunately, the information they've forgotten is of some value to me. The people, no, of course not, but you understand. Information is important.
I do. That's why we must be careful where we put things. That is for sure.
Yes.
So what happened to their memories? Drinking?
They
were probably drinking. Maybe drugs?
Some are so reliable, but they are, these two are incredibly loyal and obedient. However, I did send them in my stead to do some negotiating with some hags, because of course I wouldn't want to expose myself to such dark magics. And I got part of what I wanted, but they took some memories from my servants that I would really rather them not be missing. Is there anything that can be done here? Or any information that might help us in this effort? We could go try to kill these hags, but that seems like a lot of work.
Maybe you could steal them back.
That's intriguing. What manner of theft could return a memory, however?
Well,
the memories were associated with certain objects. Could it be so simple as to steal those objects back?
It could be, or perhaps they've moved them to other vassals. I've heard of some of the archfey would keep the dreams of others in globes, and they would partake of them like we might partake of wine. or some of the more dubious residents might partake of narcotics.
They clearly have some motivation for their dark deeds. But surely there are certain consequences or ramifications for stealing from such creatures.
Why, yes, you're going to make a very powerful enemy, it sounds like.
Well, it's certainly food for thought.
Perhaps you could trade the rest of the servant for just the memory.
Perhaps, but I've grown rather fond of them, like pets.
Yes,
Look at this one. It's rather adorable in its tiny little way.
I'm going to stand there and act like appropriately like I've done something wrong.
I could see that. This one seems very, very well behaved.
Oh yes, it took some training, but I have a certain knack for it, they say. At any rate, so is there anyone else here I should talk to, or is that the
truth of the
likely
matter,
recommendation?
The truth of the matter, there is powerful magics that could probably restore these memories, but like I said, they're very powerful. I do not even know if we have a priest in attendance that could is that connected to Eleven directly in order to be able to channel so much power.
I understand. That would be terribly convenient, and it may be that Eleven has set me upon this path as a challenge or test.
It could be. And with that, he kind of leans in and kind of like lowers his voice a little bit. And have you considered switching to wood elves? They make much better servants. I mean, they're much closer to our kind.
It's true, but wood elves are more noticeable in the mostly human and mixed race cities that I usually find my business brings me to.
Oh, terribly sorry to hear that. Perhaps you will seek to take up a permanent residence here at Carshapathian at some time amongst your kin.
Well, I will take that under advisement, but at the moment, my business frequently does call me elsewhere.
I see.
By the way, you might be able to help me with something else. I happened to observe an unfortunate incident earlier. It was some Eladrin. You know how they can get. And they were wearing this strange symbol, and I'm wondering if you recognize it. It was a green eye surrounded by hands. Have you ever seen such a thing? It was creepy.
That sounds like something I would not expect to see here in Carshapathian, especially associated with Eladrin.
They may have been disguised.
I
wouldn't.
More likely.
But regardless, it was just very strange, and it seemed unholy to me. And as a duly appointed cleric of Eleven, I'm new to my training, but I thought a more experienced person such as yourself might know more.
I am not familiar with that, but it does sound a bit foreboding. Have you reported it to the watch yet?
I have not yet, because it was just moments ago, and frankly, less important than my business. But I will certainly go do so.
Well, if there's anything else I can help you with, let me know.
Certainly, thank you so much. And perhaps on my next visit to town, if an archbishop swings through, then perhaps my problem will be solved that way.
Well, feel free to call upon Friosa anytime you like.
Are you Friosa? I'm so pleased to make your acquaintance.
I am.
Oh, well, with friendly faces like yours, Friosa, the idea of actually maintaining my business from town becomes that much more tempting. So it's good to meet you.
Likewise, my lady.
And so she'll give him a very polite but sly at the corners smile that might be flirty, but might just be her natural domineering, terrible master of her servants expression. And then she'll take her leave.
Okay.
And say to Kenna, "Come, don't dawdle."
She like jumps a little bit and scurries on after her.
All right. So what do you think? I couldn't think of anything else to get out of the guy.
No, I think that was good.
Okay. What was that name again, Dave? I want to write. Friosa. Okay.
And he is one of the mid-level temple priests, which you kind of identified through his garb.
Yes. Deneen, back when she was talking about her unpleasant business that takes her out of town, that's when she would have gestured to her outfit as if that explains her terribly common armor. It's so uncouth. All part of the image, you understand. Okay. Kenna, can you think of anything else? Do you actually think we should report this to the guards? Because those guys are obviously bad news.
Those guys are obviously bad news, but I think they're probably well-connected bad news.
Yeah, Vance might be able to find out something about him. Maybe it's in that book you've got.
Maybe.
But meanwhile, they've got somebody watching the inn. Are we going to get out of town? What do you want to do?
I think we need to leave. I think we need to find Agnetha and we need to go.
She was when we went by the song tree earlier, they said she wasn't there then. She could be anywhere.
Yep.
But we do need our stuff.
Yeah, and I should probably ditch this book.
Well, if they could track the book, they would have found you.
Who says they haven't?
Let's take the back way, and this time we're definitely taking shortcuts through the city, so we've got to find Agnetha. Get whatever. Did you leave anything at the inn? Like, what else do we need? Do we need to?
In my bardo.
Okay. Oh, but that's at the stable. Shoot. All right. Well, then we've got to take this lookout. We've got to find Agnetha, take the lookout out, and get out of here.
Also, or we could just sneak into the stable.
Deneen would also know that while it's possible that they were tracking the book, but it's also possible they used more mundane methods as well.
Sure.
But we have to find my dog. I'm not leaving this place without Monty.
He might have gone back to the inn. He might have gone to look for Agnetha.
Well, then let's find Agnetha first.
Okay. All right. So we're going to start going to the taverns that are in the areas that we've already visited, like the bathhouse, for example.
I would actually say you guys know Agnetha pretty good, and you know the kind of establishment she would look for.
So we find the seediest bar in this town,
right, with an active brawl already in progress.
That would probably be it. So you guys, we're going to wrap up with you guys kind of inquiring to find out what is the diviest dive.
Yeah, we're looking for a bar with a lot of wood elves, but like the ugly wood elves. Where do the ugly poor wood elves go?
Well, no, because she likes her fancy drink. She's probably going to be looking for this town's equivalent to the poor boys pub.
Oh, okay. I'll stick with your guess then.
Perfect. So we'll wrap up right there, and next week we'll pick up with the hunt for Agnetha. So thanks everyone who's been hanging out with us in the chat and watching along, and thank you ladies for joining us. Remember, in the description you can find links to Pixel Scapes, which that is Jen's website, and she draws stuff from the Monster Manual in crazy colors. It's fantastic. You should check it out. And then Megan R. Miller is an author, and you can find a link to her books on Amazon and check them out as well. So with that, until next time, guys, stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.
Stay nerdy.